I'd like to start plugging some pro-male movies, and the first one that comes to mind is Old Man Logan, the Wolverine X-Men character. In this film, Wolverine is goes by Logan. He's dying from being poisoned by his own skeletal structure, and he's basically off by himself with Charles Xavier and looking after him. And Xavier is suffering from old age. He's especially crippled and becoming senile, and Logan has to look after him. He's basically like a son and his aging father, and how some guys have to live through that. Looking after an infirm parent. And in the film, this young girl shows up who ends up being Logan's biological daughter. Now, this is also very important to men in real life, because essentially Logan was sperm jacked and this child was created without his knowledge and without his consent. And as usual, the girl shows up at the father's door with a sullen look on her face, as if to say, where were you, Dad? Now, that's kind of forgivable, because children don't really have the life experience to have a proper perspective. So they do tend up saying, I was with these awful people, I had this terrible life experience. Mom or Dad, where were you when I needed you? And Logan, he doesn't even want to bother with this girl, because he has a real connection with Charles Xavier, who was there for him when he needed him, who was an influence, a positive influence in his life. And so that's the person he cares about. And he shows really a proper care for this stranger. This daughter shows up. He says, he has no connection to her. But over the course of the film, he does gain one. Yeah, when Charles Xavier dies, and he knows he's going to die himself because of his poisoned body, he realizes, she's the only thing I have left. And so they do gain a connection. And that she's accepted him when he suffers an injury, a mortal wound, and she shouts out, Dad. She shouts out, Dad. Something terrible has happened to someone I love. And she's accepted him then. And he's accepted her. And also in the film, he's actually has a clone of him made. A younger version of himself who he has to deal with. And the doctor who made this clone of him starts off as, a scientist who has made a success, a successful product. But you can see that over the time, the scientist and his clone actually become much more like father-son as well. And the clone is just some wild animal version of Logan until the scientist dies. He's murdered. And then you actually see real passion, not just animal bloodlust. So it's so much, this film is so much about parent-child dynamics. And Logan is not portrayed as some deadbeat guy, deadbeat dad. That's the anti-male slur that's been going on for decades now. Deadbeat dad. He isn't a deadbeat. He's looking after his father. Charles Xavier, his adopted father, who adopted him basically as a son. And he of course looks after this girl who he actually owes nothing to. So he's stepping up as a person of principle, not as someone who automatically owes someone because, they happen to be related. And that shows really that in spite of all the feminist infestation that has gone on, in effect, in spite of all these films like Captain Marvel and Ghostbusters 2016, there are still pro-male movies like Logan. And, if I were you guys, if you wanted to make a statement, not only would you, protest and boycott these other films, don't be afraid to buy a copy of, Old Man Logan. Support the films that actually treat you with respect. So I'll mention any other pro-male movies I happen to see. And I think you should support them financially and verbally whenever you can. Because the war that has been on us for decades now, and it's just been ramping up to the point that men are now struggling to deny that it even exists. They're so scared. But this is one thing you can do. You can support these pro-male movies. More to come. Thank you.